Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to Rusiology. I'm on the balcony right now, so if you hear any random sounds or random noises, that's just giving you some context because I'm outside. Wait, I need to clean my glasses. Okay, bismillah, let's start. So, should we cut off our toxic parents? Nowadays, the term toxic has been used very frequently. It's been thrown around quite often. When we see this word toxic being used for friends, toxic friends, in terms of toxic friends, we can easily disassociate with them. If someone treats us poorly, we can quickly cut them out of our lives. You see, they're very inconsiderate, making us feel worse as a human being. They're unsupportive, and they're basically a hater in the clothing of a friend. Then by all means, if it's difficult for us to maintain a connection with them, perhaps it's better for us to drift off and find places where we are loved, where we are accepted. Now, however, could you say the same thing with parents? Are parents the same as friends? Can we simply just cut them off the same way we do to someone who offends us? If you live in the city, you know that there's a lot of people when you walk by them and they'll say something to you, you know? A lot of them are on drugs or they're dealing with a lot of difficult situations. May Allah have mercy on them. And because of this, they kind of release their stress and energies towards random people on the streets that they pass by. They might be begging for money, or if you don't give them money, sometimes they may become aggressive, especially here in Toronto. However, it's not exactly their fault. We can brush it off easily when a stranger tells us something offensive. When someone close to us says something offensive, we just don't know how to deal with it anymore. I mean, nobody taught us how to deal with the offense from our own family members. They teach us in school that if there's a bully, if there's someone attacking you, the ways that you can self-defend yourself, the ways that you can tell the teacher, tell somebody, and for this behavior to stop. But what if it's in your very own family, the very people who protect you? I've been wondering about this because in Islam, there's hadith upon hadith proving that we have to respect our parents, and that is just a given. But also, that is under the same circumstance that the parents respect their child as well. Culture varies from people to people, families to families. There's always things that go on in different families that is normal for them, but not normal in the context of Western normal, for example. You know, the typical example I can give or I can think of, however, I do not condone this. You know, sometimes parents will use belts or slippers. What do I think about this? Well, you know, like, would you do this to your own kids? Probably not, right? You probably won't give your own kids the slipper, and this is not at all, by any means, the right ways to teach a kid nor enforce a kid. There's this age-old story. I don't know where it comes from, but I'm just gonna tell you it anyways to kind of remind you. I mean, as in the nature of human beings is not that we don't know, but we need to be reminded. This person was walking down the street. They were wearing a really thick coat, and the wind says to the sun, watch this, I can make this person take off their coats. The wind starts blowing really hard at the person, thinking that it's gonna sweep the coat off the person. It never did. The person only huddled closer, put the coat on tighter. When the sun said, no, wait, watch this, and it used all its warmth and coziness and comfort and love, slowly, the person who was walking on the street, who was huddling with the coats, slowly removes it. We can say the same thing for parenting as well. There's generally two types of parenting. The ones who are more like the wind and the ones who are more like the sun. And sometimes most people are a combination of both. Sometimes our mothers or fathers can be like the wind, forcing us to do something quickly, trying to rip it off of us. Or sometimes they can be warm and loving, you know, inshallah, in a healthy family system. However, every family has a bit of both. Most families have a bit of that both wind and sun characteristics. And in terms of toxicity, isn't everybody a little bit toxic? I can think of many times where I disrespected my parents during my teenage years, where I was lost and confused. I ignored them. In my heart, I belittled them. I thought they were less important than my friends. I thought they just don't get me. They don't understand me, so why should I try to understand them? And when we're young, and sometimes even when we're older too, we kind of generally think that our parents are invincible, that nothing can hurt them, that they're this king or queen on this like high chair, that they're so ignorant and stubborn that no thought can penetrate the thick skulls of their minds. minds. But the truth is, parents are so vulnerable, and everything that you do say to them, you think they say it doesn't matter, they ignore you, they're stubborn, they put up whatever walls of self-defense they have against you. But truth is, they're very vulnerable. They just don't know how to show it, especially if there's a culture difference. It's super important to note the culture difference between you and your parents. If you grew up in the West and your parents grew up in a different country with a different language and a different culture, you can't expect them to understand you to the same degrees that your friends understand you from the same culture. However, it's not that they don't want to understand you, it's that they have trouble. And the best you can do is be patient with them because they don't understand that. And even if you grow up in the same culture, in the same type of country, and even if you speak the same language, share the same culture as your parents, there can be many things that they don't understand. For example, the technology gap. When they were your age, they did not have phones, iPads, or whatever. They didn't have this technology that you have. And so because they don't have that, can you really expect them to understand you and your memes and your culture and what you want in life and your goals and dreams? Your source of influence comes a lot from online technology as well as your outside social circle. When they were little, their source of influence came from whoever they were exposed to, their community. So the difference in technology and understanding of society can of course clash. People with such a big age gap, it's hard for them to understand. However, does this make them bad people? We have to normalize dysfunctional families in the sense that yes, we know that they're not perfect, but we know it's normal for them to not be perfect. We understand that imperfection is part of this entire family package. Whether they argue a lot, they fight a lot, or they're separated, or you have traumatic childhood memories from them. For the most part, family is just kind of weird like that. Are they toxic? Yes, probably. Should we cut them off? At the end of the day, it comes down to wisdom and patience. Do you have the patience to put up with their impatience? Do you have the patience to put up with their stubbornness? The answer is no. Ask Allah to help you and to guide you closer to patience so that you're able to endure the hardships and the tests that they put onto you. For we know that Allah tests the ones that He loves most. But however, it does not mean that you should go and endure danger or put yourself into, physical harm, potential physical harm. Looking back at our Islamic tradition, the idea is that we have to be patient to the ones who are impatient. We have to show mercy to the merciless, if that makes sense. Why should we show other people if they don't give us the same treatment? Everyone says treat others the way you want to be treated. So doesn't that mean I should treat my parents exactly how they treat me, with disrespect? If your parents demand respect from you without giving you the same respect, that is a flaw in their character. They are far from perfect. They're very, very flawed creatures, just like us. And sometimes nobody else in the world will get you more angry than the people who raised you. You'll feel like you want to blame them for everything. You feel like so much of your own personal pathology, errors and flaws in your own character. When you're insecure, if you have social anxiety, if you have depression, you might blame it even on your parents subconsciously. You say, oh, if they haven't done this, if they hadn't done that. And perhaps there is some truth to that. There is some truth. Perhaps if they didn't do this to you, if they didn't do that to you, if they didn't belittle you when you were a kid, if they listened to you more, if they loved you more, if they played with you more, but they don't know how to be perfect parents. And they say that not every parent deserves a child, but every child deserves parents. And not everyone is good parents. Our wisdom of respect goes beyond whether they were good parents or not, even if they were bad to us. There's a part of us we have to feel almost a type of sympathy or even a type of pity for them, because when they were young, they were probably treated with the same harshness. I know that a lot of my friends have fathers who are very, very strict, or they have missing parents from their lives. Our challenges that we face within this dunya. We know that we enter into this test, into this life without equal opportunities, and this is given as a test for us to see what we can do with what we have, with the cards that we own. What can we do? You may be able to say that some people are playing this game better because they have better cards within their hands, as if it's a game of poker. They've just been dealt better cards. For people who are unlucky, that they've just been dealt with less cards. And yes, it's true that some people are dealt with better cards, so they have a head start in some things. Some people with more money may have more opportunities and have a head start. But this doesn't mean having more opportunities brings you any closer to Allah. And it doesn't mean that having a perfect family will bring you any closer to Allah. And at the end, we are looking to get closer to our Creator through the hardships that we face. We're trying to be the most successful for God, for Allah. And to become successful in accordance with the way of Allah, we are instructed to be good to our parents, and that is part of our struggle. And if it's so hard to be respectful to them, and if every time you try to talk to them they bring up an argument, or they make you feel uncomfortable, they make you feel bad, the easy option would be to walk away and cut them off and never talk to them again. I mean, who wants to deal with pain? In a world where happiness means so much, if the only meaning of life is to maximize pleasure and to minimize pain, then of course we would decrease and minimize anything that causes pain, including interactions with parents. But then again, we have to look at the factors and look at everything with patience and wisdom. For those who grew up without really fully being able to trust their parents, growing up and maturing, it comes to a realization within yourself that dad is like this because of the way he grew up. His parents were like this to him, so that's why he was like this. I can see mom is like this because the way that she grew up, her parents were like this. Or maybe you can even think of the environmental factors, how they grew up, what insecurities they probably have. Therapy is a very, very new concept. Most of our parents don't know anything about therapy, but if you're lucky, they may know some things. For what they know, their parents did not go to therapy, so your parents probably didn't go to therapy either, and they may have a lot of pent-up problems that they don't know how to express. So this comes out in anger, in being upset, in frustration, in arguments, or even the opposite. They might be, pretending that everything's okay. They might be avoidant. They may be passive. They may be overly passive, letting other people take advantage of them. Emotions that are unaddressed and swept under the carpet for years and years. Are you able to understand the fact that they need a lot of work to do? If you can understand this, then proceed with that mindset. Do not be envious of other families because they're tested with different things. It's really easy to walk away and to ignore them and to just simply brush them off as terrible people. But we have to understand that people are multifaceted. People are three-dimensional. They have so much like grime and dirt built up within their lives, and you don't even know half of their stories, right? So you have to kind of regard your parents in the lens of a stranger, but a compassionate stranger. You've only known them for a short time. You haven't known them before. If what they're doing is causing you stress, and it does not justify their actions just because they've had a past like that. However, how do you continue? And it takes a lot of courage to do so. It takes a lot of courage. Now, there's many things that we associate with the word toxic, and this word toxic is so vague that it can apply to friends, to even parents, and to even parts of yourself. But is it who they are that's toxic, or certain parts of their personalities? Is it their entire existence that's toxic, or just certain parts? And knowing that even if they are toxic, how are you going to proceed with this? How will you proceed despite their toxicity? And as always, try your best to be patient even when you're in a storm, even when things aren't going smoothly. See where that leads you, because you can't fail with patience, as life will always have a way to bring you to safety and to bring you to peace. You will always find that peace within time. So as always, continue to make istikhara, make dua, that, and ask Allah to make it easier for you to speak with your parents, to understand them, and for them to understand you. Make it easy, Ya Allah. Ask Allah, and just find yourself somewhere private within your room or even outdoors, somewhere nice and breezy, and just ask and make dua and say, Ya Allah, please make it so that my parents can understand me. Please make it so that I can understand them. And despite this, I try to be patient. And despite this difficulty, I try to be patient because I believe in you, Allah. Subhanallah. And continue making dua in whatever way that you can, in whatever language. The easy way out is not always the best way out. Sometimes you may hate a thing and the thing is good for you, and sometimes you may love a thing and the thing is bad for you. So be patient and best of luck. Thank you for tuning in to Rusiology.